having a friend is a good experience. Someone you can trust with and someone you can actually spend some time with. And I mean, some people have been experienced some friends that's it might be hard to describe, but it's going complete insane or just better word terms crazy. Some people may not have even experienced anything remotely to be honest, having a friend that's going complete nuts over something. My name is Shannon. I am 24 years old and I have only one experience of a crazy friend. My friend, well, my former ex-best friend, Gina, was the one that went complete insane. And you may understand eventually later on through my perspective. Me and Gina, we actually grew up together. We were about the same age, only about a couple of months apart, but she and I actually grew up on the same road, only that she grew up only a few houses down from my house. We actually became best friends in the elementary school. She was like myself. We was like, sometimes people even called us as the long lost twins. I mean, we were around the same height, have both brown hair, brown eyes, and we almost like looked like almost identical twins. Even though there was just, I was like, in the beginning, we actually used to play this called twin sister card to sometimes just to mess around with our friends, just play as a prank at them. But eventually that card trick eventually became old and we actually became more mature. But there was only during one time in high school when Gina and I was not in the same school, since her parents actually moved from their house into across town, so she went to a completely different high school. But it doesn't stop our friendship, not at all. We still hang out on the weekends and sometimes during the holiday breaks, and just we was actually introduced some of her new friends and sort of my new friends, and we all actually had a great time. You may ask, when was it the time when Gina became crazy? Well, it wasn't until like after high school and until sometimes after college. You know, let's skip a few years here. We went to two different high schools, but we wanted to be almost the same thing as professional, or we weren't really sure exactly what professional occupation or type of job we wanted to do. I mean, I loved animals. I mean, I want to be a veterinarian. So I was actually found out that there were a college or a state that actually had a program that was doing some courses from how to become a veterinarian or a doctor. So I thought, I actually applied for that and I was accepted in. Gina, by the way, she wanted to be something else though. She wanted to do something with cosmetic because she loved her makeup, and honestly though, not a bad choice if you're really much into that type of things. So turned out she applied to the same college. I was like, wow. And at least I can understand this one thing. We went to two different high schools, but now we are going to the same college. But we may not be roommates, but we'll at least we'll be able to spend more time personally. Some of my other friends had actually thought that Gina and I were more than friends, like couple. But honestly, I'm not interested in girls in that particular way. I mean, I support that community, not at all, as much as I really do. It just, I really don't attracted towards girls, and Gina, at the time when we first started high school, well, she told me she had a boyfriend. He was only like just 1 year older. And at the time, I was single. But it wasn't until like my first year at college when I met Derek. Derek was actually a very at first very shy, but he was a goofy guy, and we actually clicked. It wasn't like one of his. It was actually his roommate who asked me if I wanted to go out with Derek. I was asked why doesn't he even ask himself. He explained that he is a little bit a shy type, but I said yes, and we actually hit it off quite quickly. And you may think, when was the time when Gina became so crazy? Well, during my first year at college, I was very much spending a lot of time with either with Derek or my studies, like for exams and all that stuff. But I do always make sure to have time for my best friend. But also at the time, she was also doing her dating with casual dating with different guys. But I didn't find out much about her dating life until much later on when one particular guy, which I will only refer as Daniel. Daniel told me that Gina was always talking about her best friend Shannon, like how that I looks like her, and that she was so close, and eventually Daniel, he well, let's say he felt fed up with all the things all she wanted to talk about was me on their dates, like their dinner, all kinds of things. She only wanted to talk about me, how perfect I am, how perfect Derek is for me, and how close we are. And I was getting a little bit unusual. I had no idea what to feel, but I told Daniel I was sorry to hear this, but told him that he might find someone else to be with. And Gina, I was expecting that she would feel heartbroken and come to me for comfort, but she never did. And in fact, when I even asked her about it, she just pretended like it's just like a normal breakup. I was like, wow, she's very mature for her age. Because in the past, before we was in still high school, the boyfriend she dated that I did mention that she had, well, let's say he dumped her with for another girl, and she was heartbroken. But after that, she did have a few casual dating as well. But anyways, I was myself very much deep into my studies for being a veterinarian or vet, a lot. So when Gina asked me if I want to hang out or if I want to go to a local bar with Derek or some of the guys that she met, I told her no, because I had a lot of focus on my program to be a veterinarian. At first, she thought maybe that was just some sort of an excuse or I didn't want to go, but I told her, even showed her my tons of paperwork that I had to been working on. So she actually agreed on that. And I told her, as soon as my papers and all that stuff were fixed or done, we can go out drinking, go out to play games or all kinds of what they used to do. And it took maybe about almost 2 weeks. And then that was done. We went out celebrating that I was done, or at least part of it. But when I was meeting up her at her dorm room, I was stunned. Because somehow during these 2 weeks, she had completely changed her personality. Like, she was wearing almost the same identical outfits that I was wearing. Because at first I thought maybe that just one outfit was just, well, I mean, it's not like anyone would even try to try something new. But when I went into her room, she was in the rest bathroom and I actually saw that her closet was open. It was all the same identical clothes as I was wearing, or even I had. I mean, from dresses, shirts, pants, all kinds of things, including the shoes. But somehow, I never actually saw that as a red flag, which I should have. But after a while, she started to even have a different hairstyle. She was almost, some of my friends actually said, wow, she looks really much identical to you. I was like, yeah, she kinda. I mean, I explained to some of my new friends that Gina and I did kind of use the twin sister card when we were younger, but we hadn't even done that in years. They thought it was quite odd. But I brushed it off though. Maybe just she felt more comfortable and wanted maybe try some new outfit, new appearance style, which wasn't that uncommon. So I thought, okay. But one day during just before the winter holiday, that on the first year at college, Derek actually, when I was in the hallway waiting for him, he told me that, wait, what are you doing here? I thought we were supposed to meet at the library. No, we had actually made plans to meet outside his classroom. Turned out that he first believed that I actually ran into him outside his dorm room, and I mean the person sounded identical to me, dressed as me. I thought, wow, do I have actually a doppelganger? I mean, I heard about this so-called doppelganger exist. Well, suppose at least, but anyways, since Derek did live near my hometown, just only, well, a town over, we did spend a lot of time together during the holidays. Gina, she did reach out to me a couple of times during just asking how things has been, but one day, when I was over at Derek's home, I found his phone, and it was pictures of him and me. But the thing is, I don't even remember when those pictures was taken. And also, one of the thing is the location. And I asked him about this when those photos was taken and which time of the day, which days they were taken. He explained and told me. I told him, Derek, I wasn't even there. I was actually at home with my parents at the time. He was like, didn't believe me first, but I told him, you bro trust me, right? Yeah. Okay, look closely on the photos. Do they even look like me? Or did the person actually sound like me? Or was there some sort of accent in it? When it's like, when you sing like that, yeah. That day, so you did sound like a little bit different, a little bit more as a high-pitched tone. I thought maybe you were just excited to meet me again after a while, but I brushed it off. Then it clicked. Gina. It finally clicked. Gina had been dressed as me for months now since during my first year of college. She tried to even sound like me. Almost had managed almost to do so. I mean, it's not impossible to personate someone's voice like some people can do. And using the same type of outfits, dress as me, have the same hairstyle, I was getting worried that he was trying to do something. And I asked him, do you have the number for this person? Or that from me? And he said yes. And he showed me. I told him, that's not my number. What do you mean? And did you have this explanation why you have a different number? Yeah, well, you told me that you have a problem with your phone, that you had to get a new number, but I told them, this is still my phone and my still number. I called them, and the number actually still worked. I was like, and I even told them exactly which number that he had was Gina. He was not happy because it turned out he had been on dates with Gina, my best friend. I was dumbfounded. So I told him to call Gina, or AKA me, to ask if they could hang out. So she did, And he did, and she answered yes. After that, I called Gina's mom. I will call her Mr. Scholar for this. I told her exactly briefly what her daughter has been doing, and her mom, who is still a good friend to my family to this very day, had noticed how her daughter has been acting different, sound like a little bit different, dressed like a different, and almost. She said that she was almost like she's seeing me at her in her own daughter. She bullied me, so we decided to head over to the park where they were supposed to meet. Her mom was going over there, and Gina, or aka me, sitting on the bench that was supposed to be near the fountain. And when she said Derek, she was so happy she stood up and gave him a hug, pretending that he actually was missing her to see her. They sat down, they just talking, and suddenly, after a moment, I showed up, as planned, with her mom. And Gina's face dropped from a big smile into was shocked. Gina, what are you doing? I told her. I'm not Gina, I'm Shannon, she said almost in my voice. This is my boyfriend Derek. Who are you? She pretended that I was a fake and she wasn't. And her mom looked at me and said, that's definitely my daughter, and Gina, drop the act, I told her almost angrily. How dare you just steal my boyfriend, trying to steal him from me, and act like me? What is the purpose on this? But then Gina dropped the act and said, you pretend you had the best life, do you? You have a good family, you have both your parents, you have the most amazing boyfriend, and you have a great life. What about me? I have nothing. You have the best boyfriend ever, and I don't have anyone. Most boys at the school prefer to stay away from me, even when I try to ask them out. I just told them, you know, it is one of your ex-boyfriends, Daniel, told me that every time you were on dates, you talked about me. Just me, nothing else. And one of the other boyfriends that you briefly dated, said the same thing. And I told your mom, and in fact, Gina, I don't want to even want. At first, I couldn't even believe that you were even trying to this. I brushed it off for months, but it is clear now. You were trying to steal my life. What are your next plan? What's the next plan to do? Try to get me try to get me out of the way? Like, somehow make me disappear so that you can actually move in with my parents, pretending you are me? Yeah, something like that, she thought. She said almost like a smirk. Her mom was horrified. But it's okay now, she said, and holding out a pistol, or a small handgun. Her mom was terrified. Luckily for you, though, Gina, that's not gonna happen. Because then, she called out, she's here! And suddenly, 4 police officers actually showed up. And I am explaining the reason why they were there. I actually called them only in my boyfriend's car over there. Actually, I took his car since he walked over there. I called her a statement, and later we met up there. She was arrested for possessing of unlicensed firearm and stalking and all kinds of things, actually. And later it turned out that she was suffering from this multiple personal disorder. And her mom was so shocked that she didn't even expect her own daughter behind being acting like this, behave like this. But there was a lot of things that I started to question myself. I mean, if she had been doing this just during our first college year, what about if this has been going on much longer than that? Since we didn't very much go into the same high school, So, turning out in the interrogation with the police, she broke down, explained that she had planning this since high school. She thought even though, okay, I can mention this. This was even before I even knew Derek, like I told earlier. I even knew him back then. And I even had a boyfriend even when I was in high school. Sure, they went on casual datings, but nothing much serious. So it turned out that she wanted to be me because she didn't like her mom much because she was so strict and my parents wasn't even that strict like hers. And I had both my parents. Gina's dad actually passed away in an accident when she was just younger. And I can understand why she wanted to have a dad role model in her life. But there's only one small problem. My parents may have recognized that maybe it's a bit different. I mean, what if there's something happened and they needed to be in a transfer of blood that turned out she has complete different blood type? That would have been the first red flag. Would she get rid of my parents if they find out that she wasn't me? That's a strong case in that. But since her medical new undiagnosed misdiscover, she was end up in a mental institution for some time. Me and Derek, though, we are still strong together in this day. I actually finished college. I did actually became a veterinarian, and we still live in the same town at this college. Gina hasn't even tried to reach out to me, and even if she did, I refuse to even have anything to do with her. So, even one day when she will be able to release, Gina, please let us never meet again because you went complete psycho. Thank you.